Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Gail Carson, your host for Women in Business, a show that celebrates women and their accomplishments as entrepreneurs or senior managers. As a woman business owner for over 5 decades, I take great pride in bringing these interviews to you. I'm also president of the SOB clubs, so if any of you are interested in going to one in your area, please contact me. My guest today is Kia Arian. Kia is the creative director and founder of Zine Graphics and Print, a graphic design company just outside of Washington, D.C., which she and her husband started back in 2004. Today, Zine Graphics is a successful and growing design firm that specializes in graphic design for direct response advertising and marketing. Kia has a unique ability to take ideas and concepts and quickly turn them into reality with zero sacrifice of tried and true direct response principles. The skill makes her a highly sought after designer in the information marketing and direct response world. She also specializes in helping attorneys and other professionals develop marketing campaigns using direct response and education-based advertising. Welcome to the show, Kia.
Thank you, Gail. It's an honor to be on your show, and I'm looking forward to talking to you and talking to your listeners today.
Well, thank you. You said you started this business back in 2004 with your husband. So what made you get into this graphic design business? And, of course, many of our listeners may not even understand what graphic design is. So give us the whole scoop here.
Sure. I have a funny kind of story because I actually didn't start out in graphic design. My background was in computer information systems. That's what I went to college for. And right out of college, I got a job with NASA, of all places, working with the Hubble Space Telescope. It was an amazingly cool job. I started at the very bottom. I started in the archive department, which was taking all the data that came in from the Hubble and storing it and distributing it to all the astronomers and scientists. And I was there for 10 years, and within that 10 years, I moved my way up to a software test engineer. Basically what I did is I helped to design tests for the commanding software that commanded the Hubble telescope. So as you can imagine, it was a very cool place to work, very, very amazingly smart people. It was a great job, great benefits, and it was great in every way, except that every morning when I went into work, I felt like I was going into prison and coming back out.
You know something that's so important, Kia, because so many of our listeners are in a job, a job,
Yeah.
and they don't want to leave the security, they don't want to leave the benefits, and they don't want to leave everything that comes along with it. And to say that you were working on the Hubble telescope, and to say and experience all these people who are around you, I mean, that is a tough thing to do. But as you say, if you feel like you're going and coming from prison, that's not the place for you to be. So what happened? How on earth did you go into graphic design?
Well, there was a turning point for me, Gail, and I'll tell you exactly when it was, when I realized that I need to make a change. I had been working on a project document. It was a requirements document. It was multi pages, probably 30, 40 pages or more. And I was working from home that day, and I had worked all day on this requirements document. I was writing requirements. It was completely abstract work. I did not like the work at all, but it was something I had to get done. I'd worked on it all day, and I wanted to download a file, and I accidentally clobbered that file that I was working on all day. So I lost all the work I did that day, and I sat in my office and I cried. I cried. And right then and there, I realized I can't go on like this. I need to make a change. So it was a moment of everything coming to a head, realizing that I need to make a change. And I thought, well, I have all this background in computers. What can I do that doesn't throw away all my skills in computers, but it can be something that I enjoy doing, that I can have freedom in my schedule, and that I can learn quickly. And at my current job, when I was at the Hubble, I was doing some web design. I really liked doing the design work of visual things, graphics work, creating, beautiful designs. So I thought, well, let me see what I can do if I can change a career to graphic design. I got on the computer, I did a search, and there were programs that I can enroll in that awarded an accredited degree in graphic design. It was a 2-year program, and I signed up. And within 2 years, I got the award, and I decided now's the time to change my career.
Well, I have to say, what you experienced in I'm just going to call it deleting the file. I mean, didn't that ever happen to you in your own business, though? Because I'm sure everybody listening to this who has been on a computer has deleted something at some point that they didn't want to.
Yeah.
And frankly, my computer just kind of does it automatically. I can be writing things, and all of a sudden I'll press a key, and I don't know what it is, but it jumps to a delete thing, and it's gone, and I have to start all over again. So it is very frustrating, but I would think most of us have experienced something like that. But I guess when you're doing all that intricate work that isn't something you want to do in the first place, it really frustrates you.
Yeah, you're right. Even now, I will do this on several occasions where I will lose the work that I've done on a project file or a design. I've completely lost it, or something happened to it. And I think, oh, darn, now I got to go recreate it again. But it's not frustrating for me. It's frustrating because I have to put extra time into it. But because I enjoy the work now, it's okay. And I certainly don't sit and cry about it.
Well, that's fabulous. Well, now, that was 10 years ago. You've been in business for yourself for 10 years. So
Yeah.
what are some of the challenges that you faced?
So once I got my degree in design, and my husband and I were ready for a change, he had actually lost his job, and his background was in computers too, and we didn't know what to do. And we thought, well, why don't we start our own business? How hard can it be, right? Famous last words.
I was just going to say, famous last words. That's what everybody says. How hard can it be? It's better than working for the boss. But when you work for yourself, you work twice as hard.
If you're lucky, it's twice as hard. It's usually because you end up not doing the work, but you end up being you wear every single hat that your place of work did. So yes, it's extra hard. But in some ways, for us, maybe ignorance was bliss. We thought, well, we'll purchase a franchise. So we started to look into these UPS stores. They were up and coming back then. They were just new, and they were really shiny, and they looked great. And UPS was growing and a strong company. And we're looking into purchasing a UPS store. And we ended up running into a person who had an independent packaging and shipping store, and it also was a print shop. So we went to see him to see what it was like to have a printing and packaging store. And, kind of the short story of it, he was actually looking to sell that business. So we thought, well, instead of buying a franchise, let's just go buy an independent business. And, hey, they're doing printing, so that was kind of serendipitous for me that, well, I just finished a graphic design course, and here I can use my graphic design skills in the printing portion of this business. And so we purchased the business. That was in 2004. And it was funny because, we thought that, great, this business is existing. It's just going to continue being a source of income for us. And, we started it, and it was not a continued source of income. It was a lot of work. There was a lot of frustration trying to learn how to do things. We ended up actually having to, live off of our savings for the first 3 years of the business because it just wasn't generating enough income for us. But we were motivated. We were motivated to, make it work and to try to do what we can to, make this business work for us. But then what happened was in 2008, if you guys remember back then.
We certainly remember 2008. Absolutely.
Yes. And at that time, I have very vivid memory. It was August, which tends to be a slow time anyway for many businesses who serve professionals. And we were sitting in we had a retail shop at that time, and there was no jobs. We had no jobs. The phone wasn't ringing. No one was walking into our store. There was only a fly in the store, and he was desperately trying to get out. And I told my husband, I said, we need to do something. I need to go get a job. This isn't going to work. We had no money left on our savings. And so I started to put my resume out, and, I got one job interview. And when I went on that job interview, it was a very good job, actually. It was a big company, and it was doing work. It was graphic design, and it used my computer skills and my background with, Hubble telescope. I walked out of there, and I said, I can't do it. It's either go get a job and die a slow, soul-sucking death, or try to make this business work. It was do or die for me. And that was the resolve. That was sort of my second moment of resolve, that I need to make this business work. I can't go back to the field. And so it came out of desperation. It wasn't a sort of triumphant, we're going to make this business work. It was like, you have no other option. Make this business work.
Well, you're bringing up some really good points because, you're always told that you should have at least, at least a year and a half to 3 years of savings to live on when you're beginning something new or you're making a transition. And you've just been a perfect example of that. But today, in today's world, most people are living paycheck to paycheck, and to have any kind of savings is a miracle. So it's interesting that you did have the savings and that you could work off of that, and it's also interesting that you didn't get discouraged. So what are some of the pieces of advice you would give us about running your own business? I mean, what are some of the things you would tell our listeners?
Absolutely, Gail. The first thing that I would say is to be a learner. You don't, what you know about running your own business, what you've sort of absorbed from people around you, is probably not right. You need to get books, you need to attend seminars, watch videos, talk to successful people, and hang around successful people. So whatever you have to do to get as much information about how to run a successful business, you need to do that. Now, for me, it started when my business started to turn around, is that I met we did a very desperate postcard mailing, back in 2008, and I had one response, and that was from an attorney and a marketing consultant. His name is Ben Glass. And I went to meet with him, and I slashed all my prices. I was like, I have to get this business. I have to get him as a client. And when I went to meet with him, he looked at me and he said, why are your prices so low? As if there was surely something must be wrong with me. And so I gave him my whole sob story, and him being a marketing consultant and learning how to manage successful businesses, he said, no, Kia, that is not how you run a business. He gave me a ton of information, and I tore through it. And that's where my turnaround began, is when I started to actually learn about what it means to run a successful business. So it's important to be a learner, but to be a forever learner. So don't stop. Even when your business starts to turn around, continue to learn and continue to associate with successful people and invest the time and the money you need to learn and to grow in that area.
Well, I have to kind of tell you that this is something I get teased about all the time, because I am a continuing seminar attendee. I read like crazy. My car doesn't even know what a radio station is. I'm always listening to CDs in the car, and people tease me about it all the time because they say, "When are you going to learn it?" I mean, why are you still studying? But my philosophy is that if you're not studying, and if you're not invigorated by other people, and if you're not catching bright hints and bright sayings and bright methods, that you should hang it up and stop doing what you're doing. So I totally agree with you on being a forever learner. What's your second piece of advice?
The second piece of advice is to get a coach, get a consultant, or get a mentor. Now, this would be someone who does not have a vested interest in your business, and they will tell it to you like it is. And this is very important, because if you think about it, the most successful people, in our culture and even worldwide, they all have coaches. They all have someone that is alongside of them, telling them, helping them to think correctly about things and to challenge them on things. For me, a big turning point in my business came when I finally paid some money to have a consultant. And you just have to make sure that it's the right person whose advice you trust. And again, they'll give you the courage and guidance you need to push